Welcome to the Background Screening Collective. I am so excited about today's guest. We have the one and only Mr. Perry Morgan. He really needs no introduction, but we will have the wonderful Melissa introduce him. She works very closely with him, and I am really excited to hear his consultant perspective and see where this crazy industry is going.
Thank you for joining today. We have Perry Morgan, one of the OGs of background screening, who I like to call the mayor of PBSA. Perry, thank you for being here with us. Perry brings over 20 years to the industry, has a lot of insight for us. So today we will learn more about him, what he's doing, and also kind of laugh and be able to have some camaraderie. So welcome, Perry Morgan, to the Background Screening Collective. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. As I said, I'm glad to be standing in front of the current and the future of PBSA, our industry, and I'm loving it. You guys are going to do great things. I know it. It's not a hope. It is. I know it's happening. You're doing it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
What a beautiful sentiment. And so as you're talking about the future, we want to kind of rein it in for a second and talk about where it all started. We want the origin story of the man we see before us today. So we are always talking in the framework of our professional world. So don't want to go too far out, Perry, but do want to hear more about what brought you to where we are today.
Who, me? Going too far out? Well, at birth, I was a salesperson, letting my mom know I needed food, charming people. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I learned differently. They told me I wouldn't amount to very much, but God has different plans. And so I excelled. I grew up in South Central, rough neighborhood. Life was different, and I kept looking for something better. I didn't know that at the age of 15, I was making more money than my parents. I always thought they made a lot of money and anything I made was nothing. And then I was always trying to be better. And my better was helping people. It wasn't, what can I do for me? And I think that's still my mantra today is, what can I do to be better? How can I improve on myself? I used to think all these ideas were for me, but the ideas are given to us are for us to share. And that's why I love handing off the torch and seeing how you guys, rise up and soar, doing new things, making people uncomfortable. But that's the beauty of our industry. It's always changing. I stumbled into the background screening industry coming out of working for cellular. I used for Pactel Cellular, Nextel. I worked in their call centers. I tend to be an overachiever in those places. And so they kept changing my comp plan, so I'd leave. When I went to work for CB Infotech, which was Choice Point, everybody, they were giving out extra money for just signing up accounts. I didn't believe in that because I felt you were compensated better when you had accounts that really, really paid. So I would probably sign up 10, 15 accounts a week, where my peers would do like 30 or 40. Yet my billing was much higher than theirs. And I used to put together packages, and I got in trouble, but I kept doing it because I used to do the onboarding process before I sent it in. I went into customer support. What do you guys do? Onboarding, how do you do it? What are you looking for? What are the risks? And so when I turned in my packet, it had everything they needed. And they were compensated for how many accounts they signed up. So if I turned in 10 accounts and my 10 accounts for the last one turned in, they grabbed mine because everything they needed was in it. All they had to do was check my work. And
Okay.
so
you were actually like giving all the information that they needed.
Yes.
Okay.
And so when they were breaking off a department to work with banking and finance, I said, I want to do that. Everybody says, you're not going to make any money. You're going to starve, blah, blah, blah. and they said we needed 2 people. So I went to customer support and I recruited a young lady by the name of Paula. And I can't sell. I said, you're selling every day. Customer service people, thank you all. You guys are amazing. You're reselling our accounts each and every day. I appreciate it. And so I brought her up, I trained her, and all of a sudden we started killing it. She had her first $25,000 commission check, and she'd said, "Oh my God, you can make this type of money," and she was killing it. She was having a great time. She always did better and kept getting better and better, and her job was to be better than me. That's what I always strive to do, is have people become better than I am.
You know what that is called, right, Perry? A leader.
I can hear you
That's
breaking
what
up.
you are.
Signal's bad.
You're a lead. No, I was just saying. I mean, you pretty much described leadership in one big, breath. So, I mean, the growth mindset, the striving for others to be better, than providing the support even when you're not asked, and just being that force in the background. That's what leadership is all about. I love that.
It's funny you mentioned that. When I worked for AirTouch or Pactel Cellular, they said, "You're a good leader." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I had my team. I told them, "I work for you. So you give me tasks to do, and I'll do those, because my job is to move obstacles out of your way." So I appreciate the compliment. I'll receive it. But that when you said that, that reminded me of way back then. So
Perry, so you
yes.
approach business very differently. What's the driving force behind that? Like, what makes Perry Perry? Why are you?
What
Why
makes
do you do
Perry
all this
Perry?
in business?
That brings me back to a
God,
moment
that's a
at
loaded
Choice Point.
question.
No, that was a great question. At Higher Right, they had this test the executive team was supposed to take, and my boss at the time did not want to take it. I said, "I'll do it," because I always want to see what these things are like. And I took the test, and I was right down the middle. Okay, and on the test, and the guy was like, "Nobody's down the middle." Even on the masculine and feminine side of things, I was right down the middle. And he asked me, "Don't you get frustrated or upset?" And I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. This was even before that occurred. And I told him, I said, it's like dealing with a baby trying to eat for the first time. They're sticking it to the left, the right, all over the place. It's having the patience, knowing that that child is going to figure it out. And I just have to have the patience. So I started to learn patience. All right, let me restate that. I started to enhance patience because I'm a middle child. And middle children want to make sure everybody's taken care of. The position of service is the greatest position in the world. When you can set your ego aside, set your pride aside, you can open your ears to listen for clarity and understanding. It becomes a whole nother world.
I think that that's a big part, though, Perry, that you're, even if you agree with people, you'll still kind of play that devil's advocate to bring up other perspectives to make people think beyond just what their first thought was.
It's interesting that you say that. There's a book called The Startup Nation, and Israel has, per capita, has the largest startups in the world when it comes to startup companies. And the reason for that is, in their military, it's not a hierarchy of you just do what I say. They ask everybody's opinion. And so they come out of the military with that mindset of, how can I do this better? I grew up in South Central, and it was, how can I do that better? And so that mindset is what I tried to work on. Growing up where I grew up, everyone told me, not everyone, most people said, "Oh, you're a dreamer. That's never going to happen. You're going to be here forever. We're going to just be doing," and that didn't happen. And that's because I'm always looking for something better. I'm looking for somebody to collaborate with, someone to champion, somebody to champion me. It works both ways.
Yeah, totally. I'm right there with you. Everything you say resonates with so much in the way that I lead myself. I always say I want to be the dumbest person in the room. That's what I know I made it. And that's true. I want to be open to what other people say at all
Hmm.
times. Like, I don't have all the answers. And I think starting with that principle of just listening to comprehend and hearing what people have to say and be open to it, because your reality is not the only reality, and there's so many ways to accomplish the goal. But I think a lot of people, and that's where ego comes into big play,
Hmm.
don't allow to be so vulnerable to get to this state. And but this is where dreams truly happen. This is where people feel empowered to come up with solutions or identifying problems, and solving those problems themselves. And that's so empowering. And that's when you get a team that can solve problems all day. I mean,
You just brought something to my attention, and you're right. Some people's pride get in the way, but some people are programmed in a particular way. Some people I'll walk away. I said I can't work with you simply because there are three things that are important. Actually, now I've edited it, so it's compliance AI, compliance AI, compliance AI. For that purpose is compliance is key. AI can help you stay on top of compliance. Yeah, even though it needs some work.
That kind of brings us to a point that we were all wondering about. Some of the trends that you've seen in the industry or with clients, and of course, don't give any secret sauce or anything that's under NDA. But if you have I mean, bringing up AI, of course, we all know that's the hot topic right now. But are there any other trends, or even in how AI is being used, or perspectives, or that kind of thing that you can share with
It's
us?
not just AI is going to touch everything we do, and it's going to touch everything we do. But new trends happening. I think in drug testing, there's going to be dynamic changes, and AI is going to even enhance that. There's some new technologies for impairment, for concierge type of drug testing, a whole nother level. A lot of background screening companies aren't paying attention. Oh, don't want to touch that. Yet it's just like the database search. My first database search first came out, I was selling it left and right. People were like, oh, you can't do that. It's not any good, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, 4 to 5 years later, oh, if you're not doing this, you're wrong. This is not, but it's a programming thing. So as people are stuck in this is how we've always done it, AI's here. We're not doing everything how we always done it anymore. Technology has evolved to another space. So you have things like that coming on. You have new software solutions rolling out, making a dynamic change. You have online bots that are doing things much better than they've done before. So operational cost has diminished, that type of thing. So you have things like that happening. You have compliance rules changing left and right all the time. How do we stay on top of that? And so there are going to be new tools, new solutions that are coming out. Access to data will be better, but compliance is key because you can get access to data. Like, for example, right now, many people say, oh, you can't get anything out of Russia. Well, I can, but not many people are ordering those searches. And I can do it in compliance following federal and state guidelines. So, but people aren't thinking that way. I remember when I said, oh, I can validate a security clearance. No, you can't. It's illegal. No way you can do it. Okay. So for years, nobody ordered anything. Then all of a sudden, hey, can you verify this, Perry? Can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? Well, wait a second. I thought that was illegal. But if you have the right context and you follow the compliance guidelines, you can accomplish almost anything.
Would you say that like your new contacts and these alternative methods, is that all within, like, are these people already here, like within like a PBSA conference, or are these like conversations that you're having outside of the industry, or is that even something you can share?
All of the above.
Okay.
These are services that are I'm stumbling into stuff outside of our industry and repurposing it here. I love talking to people that's not in our industry and listening to what they're doing and finding out, oh, wow, well, I can repurpose this over here. This is how we can use it. Oh, I don't know. I don't. Here's the number one thing I run into. I don't want to deal with background screening. You guys get sued all the time. You get in trouble. And that's for the people who are cutting corners and not allowing it. So I'm a big believer in going to a company like SAS and saying, hey, here's a new service that you guys might want to roll out. Why? Because you guys are going to make sure when it goes to the CRA before it goes to the end user, that it meets all the compliance guidelines. They don't want to say, here you go, and cut a corner. They want to make sure that the information that they're giving out is going to meet the test. It's going to not blow back on you. And because, again, you're just dumping information out. That can come back on you. But if you dot your I's and cross your T's and stand on your integrity and say, I'm sorry, I can't do that, then I'm good. I had somebody who wanted me to do an employment verification for them. And I said, do you have a disclosure consent form? And, well, no, we don't do that. I said, I can't help you.
Which business would you say that you've not had because you've said no and stood on integrity?
Are you talking about dollar-wise or number?
Yeah, or percentage-wise, either one.
Percentage-wise, I would say 40%, 40 to 60%. I walk away from. And
yeah, but I think that's key though, right? Like you have to do work with people that are aligned with your goals and with the way you should conduct business. And I think if you're doing it right, you're turning down clients. That's part of it, because you should be working with the clients that have the same values and the same key points in mind. And it's not everybody that's like that.
Yeah.
So it makes complete sense.
So I'm going to tell a story about an innovative story. We're competing for a large piece of business. And when it came down to the table, they didn't want to deal with compliance. We walked away. Another company picked it up. I'm not going to mention names. Another company picked it up and started touting, oh, we took this business from Innovative, blah, 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 blah. 6 months later, they were in a lawsuit. Both of them, because they thought, hey, we're going to get that business at all costs. Not all business is good business. And like you say, you turn down clients. No, what you're doing is avoiding liability and protecting the industry. Mm-hmm. But that client that wants to cut a corner is not really a client for you. It's not a good fit. There's somebody else who'll do business with them. Let them have that business, because when that litigation came out, the company that provided the data was under federal review for, I think, like 5 to 7 years, something like that. That means all of their clients were under federal. So do it right.
Kind of leads into the next question, as far as what would be advice that you would give to someone who's trying to grow their business or brand? What is something that you would advise to them in order to do that?
I know it's going to sound like that song again. Compliance AI, compliance AI, compliance AI, compliance AI.
No, you can sing a better melody than that. Come on, Perry.
Compliance AI, AI compliant.
But that's the back end, right, Perry? Like the front end, what does that look like? Because how do you verbalize that to people? How do you put that into words where people can hear and understand and process?
Compliance.
So how do you do that?
Compliance is front end, middle, and the back end. So
is it more like integrity then?
It falls under integrity, but it's compliance. So when I'm talking to somebody who wants to buy data, when I'm selling data, hey, so how much is your data? So my price is not important. I need to know if you're going to be compliant. I know if are you going to protect the industry I serve, my company, and yourself, and the people you serve. If you're not willing to do that, hey, here's 3 other companies you can do business with. So compliance is the front end, the middle, and the back end. How do I verbalize that? Just like I just said, what are you looking to do? How are you looking to do it? How do you handle your compliance? How are you dealing with...
Would you do that even outside of the industry? Would you still have that same kind of advice?
Again, yeah, it's about compliance. Even in a restaurant, they have compliance guidelines. Just to send a text message to a consumer, there's certain compliance rules you have to deal with, whether you're in our industry or another industry. Most people in our industry don't know about it, and they're not compliant with it.
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like a lot of the times too, compliance is seen as like the police of everything, right? Is here to police and is like telling you what you're supposed to do and what's you're not supposed to do. And what I found that is very beneficial is just seeing things like the words you use when you're talking about it, and less like right or wrong, but more like this is why we should do it this way, more in an explanatory
I
way.
agree
It
with
tends
that.
to get people
Hmm.
listening. But it all comes down to if they're open to it, right? And that's the
Yeah.
first screening
Yeah.
part. Like, what are you looking to do?
Mhm.
I don't know that I can help you if that's what you're looking to do. I love that
Yeah.
approach, and it's key.
There's a term in the Bible that says, "Let them who have ears, let them hear." Because we can tell people. I've seen Melissa trying to help people, giving them sound counsel. We're not going to do that. Anybody can get sued. I don't. And then when they end up in trouble, so um, it is. You're absolutely right about how we word it. So healthcare. People say it's the law. You have to do this because you can get hit with a $10,000 charge for each incident, instead of saying, "Hey, what are you doing to help protect your business from these liabilities?" Whole different message.
And your customers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's your salesman.
yeah. That's like you said. It's how do we when we're trying to pound it in some. You have to do this. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. You can't come and tell me what I need to do just so you can get a sale.
Perry,
That's right. And how
yeah.
do you adapt to that key?
I want to ask you a very blunt question. Is our industry
Go
going
ahead.
to be here in 5 years?
Yes, it's just going to look different. They said that 5 years before. In fact, we're going to have a boom. All the consolidation that's happening, all of this great talent out there, and what these big companies are doing. They're saying, "Oh, I want AI." You remember how back in the day, still people are doing emails and things along that line, but you're starting to see a trend that says, "I want a relationship," and it's not my LinkedIn friend, it's not my Facebook friend or my ex friend. Oh, I know Melissa personally. I know Izzy. Hey, when can we get together? There are some people, if don't have my photo up on a Zoom call, they're insulted. And there are other people say, "I'm not doing it," because it's their comfort level and it's a different space, because this is how people are connecting now. But shake that hand, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Found
Nothing
to
beats in
that
person.
point that when we are face to face, when we are able to meet up in conferences or like when we came down to Izzy's office and just being able to congregate and all be in the same room together, like you can get so much more done in that space and learn so much more about
Yes.
a person in 5 or 10 minutes than you can in weeks and weeks of being on Zoom calls and things like that. So I think to your point, everything that was old is new again,
Yes.
but it's all cyclical, right? That the more technologically advanced we become, the more we're wanting to kind of pull back to those roots to have that connection that we didn't, that were lost over those years, especially through COVID and things like that.
Yeah. Relationships.
What
Go ahead.
this industry is all about
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
All
And I
about it.
think that and I haven't been here very long, but I would have to adventure out to say it's always been this way, as the backbone. But there's not that many really safe spaces to do that, right? We're all kind of spread out all over. So how do we create that space? And a little bit of what Melissa, Mega, and Robin and I are really trying to do is to create that space to connect in a more meaningful way. Not just online, of course, reaches more people, but in person is going to be something we're going to start looking into too. And to your point, in person, nothing beats in person. You get to actually meet that
Mm-hmm.
human behind their best behaved picture, or their beautiful makeup person to go to that one client call, right? You get to see the real person.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So I'm going to say a few things. The first thing I'm going to say is this is being recorded, so you can take out your notepad and write these down. You have SHRM, you have Florida HR, you have all these HR conferences that background screening companies are at. When you identify where those are, you can have a collective saying, hey, we're going to be in this area. Let's connect. You might have clients in that area that you can see, but now you guys can come together and connect. Services you don't offer one company, a company, you know somebody else who has it. You can collaborate and pull people in, but you have to do that with people you trust, and trust is a big factor here. So those are the type of, there are plenty of opportunities to do business. It's just no one's really doing that. I remember I went over this. I don't like bridges. Melissa can tell you. I'll call her and say, hey, talk to me. And I'll get behind a big truck and look in the center of it. Big monster bridges. I drove over the big bridge in Maryland to go see a customer, a client. When I got there, I spent the day. We went to lunch. He says, nobody comes sees us. I'm like, why? He says, well, they just don't. They did more business with us just because of that visit. Why are you at, it's in San Diego. Do you have clients in San Diego? Go down there and connect. Are there other people you can connect with? Again, that human touch where, and because I've been trying to do business with them for years. Now they're doing business with us. Well, you stopped by and said hi.
How was Sherm, by the way? I know I was there with you, but I want to hear your perspective.
Sherm, I think, broke over 35,000 people. Some people say it was over 40,000 people there. I think the foot traffic and everything was great. There were a lot of small background screening companies there. There are some new services there that wholesalers can probably tap into and collaborate. Wholesalers, it's important that wholesalers diversify. If you just keep doing one thing, you just keep doing that. When it becomes automated, then that thing is not there for you to do. Always keep looking for the next big thing. Always, and here's the beauty about the next big thing. It may not work completely right. Databases, they weren't perfect. They weren't right. It may need some improvement, but that's how, when we went to the moon, we made some mistakes. You know, a rocket going up and coming back down, made some mistakes. That's all part of the process. But if we dismiss and poo-poo something that's new because we don't understand it or nobody's going to buy it, nobody was going to buy a database, buying a lot of it now. Nobody was going to buy arrest data, buying a lot of it now. Just got to make sure it's a pointer, and that's all it is. And the end user doesn't get it. It's part of the work, the behind the scenes work, that type of.
So outside of background screening and compliance, and your compliance AI song was just beautiful, but what is it that just gets Perry Morgan just super happy and excited?
Praise and worship, connecting with people, and listening to their stories, hearing their hearts, connecting with their families, watching people laugh. I love watching people. If I can just sit down I'll go to, I don't go to malls anymore, but I'll go to a big, heavy place where there's a lot of traffic and just find a spot and just chill. And I like to stay by myself, but that never happens. Somebody always comes over and starts to talk to me. And then I build a long-lasting friendship.
And I think you approach things very similar to me, though, and the power of networking without always a sales purpose, right? Like you're there to listen, you're there to meet that person, to understand them, to hear about them. And the more you do that, the opportunities come from that, right? Like, and I think a lot of people don't see it that way. It's every interaction is a sale. Every interaction is how can we work together versus let's talk and understand each other a little bit more to see where the true opportunity lies. And again, to me, that's just the power of networking.
I have people I sold nothing to, and they refer people to me left and right. Right? And I want to make sure it's a good fit. I want to connect people with the right people. And there are other consultants I connect people with. Why? Because I want them to get what they truly want and need. I
agree with that 100%.
Yeah. I like working with big players, yet I like looking for that next big thing, that diamond in the rough, the thing nobody pays attention to. When Checkers first rolled out, nobody knew who they were. I remember the people there would say to me, Perry, this compliance thing is getting on our nerves. That's the thing that really helped them catapult to another level because they were paying attention to compliance. And they were killing it. Other people started losing these. Uber had multiple companies doing their background checks. All of a sudden, checkers owned it. They might have had a few people doing it here and there, but they got the bulk of the business. Why? They met the compliance needs. They were using new technology what was new at that time. All right. Now it's a whole new technology, and it's being newer things coming about. So, yeah.
Where do you see the direction of everything going, and what is a must do to just be in the game at this point in time?
A must do to be in the game. Well, that's a whole lot that you said there, so I'm gonna try to keep it short. Maybe not, but I'm gonna try. I think we need to stay on top of compliance. I think we need to start looking at new solutions, disruptors, because we're keep doing what we're doing, and the disruptors, the people that are going to catch on to these early disruptors, they're going to take a lot of business from other people, and that's the game changer. That's the differentiator. There is, oh well, everybody's doing this way. Here's something new that we have that helps you with this, and this. Or what are you doing for that? Those little disruptors. There's stuff in the database space that is game changing already, but because some companies aren't integrated with your software platform, you don't even get to touch it, or you have to do it manually. That type of thing.
Which is unscalable, right? So open your horizons to new technology, make sure you integrate it with as many things as you possibly can, but most importantly, find that one thing that's different and go after that. Did I summarize that?
Yeah, that was great summarization. And wholesalers, you have a great opportunity to be that champion and to be able to break those barriers.
This was yet another wonderful gathering for the Background Screening Collective. Thank you to Perry Morgan of helping you grow your business. He was here helping us to understand what is most important in what we do every day, what is most important for us as individuals, and also where to be and how to be seen and how to network. So thank you so much again to you, Perry, for all of that. And for everyone watching, please make sure to join us at the Background Screening Collective group on LinkedIn. Also, make sure to click in and subscribe to our podcast so that you get notifications every time we come out with a new one. Until next time, thank you so much.